To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Welcome to the Talk About the Magic podcast, where you'll find inspiration and encouragement tied together with the magic of Disney. Now, here's your host, Joseph Ballesteros.
What is going on, Magic Cheers? Welcome to another episode of Talk About the Magic. This is episode 185, and I'm very grateful you decided to join me today. As always, if you check out the Instagram feed, you'll see that I have the recording of this episode live there. I did it Saturday. I do it on Saturdays now. I'm thinking I'm going to keep doing it on Saturday evenings, or at least afternoons, on purpose. That way, if you guys are interested, you can always check out the Instagram there and see the live video of me doing the show. So yeah, you can check it out there. But anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for, again, downloading and listening and sharing the podcast. You have no idea how much it helps to be able to what helps me when I see that people are sharing it, because it not only makes me feel good because I know that you guys are listening, but it also kind of gives me that little extra bit of encouragement that I need sometimes when doing this, because it's not easy. You know, a lot of times I can only look at literal numbers. And so without any feedback or someone kind of reaching out or anything, it's hard for me to know if these numbers are doing anything or if they're just numbers. Numbers are not as fun as being able to say hello to you in real life. So again, if you'd like, please reach out to me on email or on Instagram or Facebook and say hello, and it makes it so much better. I love being able to talk with you guys. Just a quick news: I'm actually opening up, because I had this probably almost a year ago, and it's just been sitting there. But I'm wanting to open up the Talk About the Magic Facebook group. And the idea behind this group is to kind of just continue on with encouraging each other, inspiring. I want it to be kind of a place where, you know, you can come, and even if it's not regarding Disney, even if it's just saying like, hey guys, I have a job interview, you know, keep me in your thoughts and in your prayers or anything like that. Like, I want it to be a place where we can just support and inspire and encourage one another. So I'll have a link to that in the show notes. If you don't use Facebook, that's totally awesome, totally fine, not a big deal at all. Like I said, you can still shoot me an email. Do it that way. The only reason I'm starting off on Facebook is because this is kind of like I don't really know how to do like basically forums and stuff like that. So Facebook makes it easy with the group, and I had it back, like I said, a while back, and it's just been sitting there closed. I think one person was added, then I closed it just because I was like, I don't know how to do this. So I'm starting again, doing it slow. So if you're interested, please check out the Facebook group. Like I said, I'm hoping we can just start building a strong community there of encouraging and inspiration for one another. So yeah, that's just some quick news I wanted to share. But today's show, the title is called "Frustration is Not the Same as Failure." And the funny thing about frustration is you get it a lot, and it happens a lot. And something that I like to kind of say to myself is, one of the most frustrating things about frustration is that it's frustrating. And so what that means is, you know, when you get in this weird kind of corner, you get in this weird little situation where things just don't seem to be working out well. The winds are totally not behind your sails, but, you know, in front of you and pushing you back. You start to get this weird kind of stuck moment, but you start even feeling sometimes even more, which is more concerning, you start feeling like it's failed. Like it's a failure. And there's a huge difference between failure and frustration. And in the term failure, what I mean here isn't a negative thing in this sense. I mean in the sense of it not actually, you know, finishing through. So let's say you're trying to lose 20 pounds in 6 months. If 6 months come and you're at 17, you know, pounds you've lost, even though it's still a victory, that didn't reach your goal. So in this case, that's what I mean. I'm not saying in a negative way that's like, oh, it's all over. But that's what I'm saying, the difference between frustration and failure. Because frustration, what that does is that misleads you. That makes you feel like it's a failure at times, where you feel like you're just going to give up on everything because you're trying to, let's say, again, use the weight loss. As you can tell, I'm on that because I'm trying to do that myself. I think that's why I keep bringing that up. But you know, let's say you're trying to lose 20 pounds in 4 months or 6 months. I don't know what the healthy version of doing that is, but let's just say 6 months. And at 4.5 months, you've only lost 15, and it just is stuck there. That's frustration. That's not failure. That's not a defeat. That's frustration, because you're continuing to try to complete your goal, you are doing everything you're supposed to be doing, right? You're eating healthy and you're working out, so many hours or whatever it is a week, and you're really like getting everything you're supposed to be doing. You're drinking the fruit smoothies and veggie smoothies. You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. You're doing everything right, but it's just not working out. That is frustration. Even more frustrating is you get on the scale and you realize you gained a pound, and you're just like, wait, what? Like, that is frustration. That's not the same as failure. You are not defeated in that situation, but you are feeling that way because of the fact that everything that was working before, which is a key thing, we're going to get into that, but everything that was working before and everything that you're doing now is just not happening. It is not creating a difference that you are, or you were expecting for it to make. And so when that happens, you get frustrated. And when that frustration sets in, it's easy for you to kind of say, you know what? This isn't working like I thought. It's not fair. I've done everything I'm supposed to do, and this didn't happen. I quit, and I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to stop doing that. And now that frustration has turned into a failure because you've allowed it to take away everything that you've been working hard for, and you basically quit on your goal. So going into what, like I said, what you've completed before, the difference is, there's going to be times, and I know you guys can relate to this because this probably has happened to you, at least one time, where what was working before isn't working, and then it just so happens that you just switch it up a little, and all of a sudden you see things change. Now, that's another frustrating thing about goals and when you're setting things up, because you don't know the future, and you don't know necessarily all the time the correct path to take. Sometimes you have to go with what you believe to be the right thing to do, and you have no kind of clear future that it's going to work out. But when you get in those moments of frustration where you feel like you're stuck, you feel like you're trying everything, in weight loss, at least for sure, what they'll say is switch it up. So what they're telling you in this case is, let's say you've been running the treadmill for 4.5 months and you've lost 15.5 pounds, but you just are not losing any weight. In fact, you're starting to gain some. What they'll tell you is they switch it up, because what's happening is your body is what they call plateauing, and basically you're now building muscle, which is making you heavier. So they say switch it up, go out of that routine, get out of your routine, shake it out completely. So if you're somebody who's a runner, try doing something that's requiring more weights. If you're somebody who's doing weights, try doing more cardio. They tell you to mix it up because what that does basically is that reshocks your body and gets you back into that losing weight mode. So, again, that's a weight loss metaphor, but in the situation that you face yourself, sometimes it's exactly what you have to do. You have to switch it up. And like I said, switching it up is scary because you've been doing this so long, so well, and been getting such amazing results that it's very intimidating to change that mindset, to change that idea and switching it up and trying something new. Again, when you think about different situations of what you're doing, whatever it is, place yourself in this moment. But like I said, if you're somebody who does cardio, you've been running for 6 weeks and they're telling you now switch it up to weights, that's intimidating because you're like, I don't want to look like, Sylvester Stallone or, big muscles. Like, I don't want to do that. And I don't even know how to start lifting that. And everybody here is lifting 40 pounds and I'm on 5 and it's heavy for me. Like, I don't feel comfortable. And you start feeling differently. The confidence that you had because of what was working so well is gone now. And you start getting in this frustrating pattern that you think, you know what, it's just not working. And two kind of options come into play here, which is to continue what you were doing and being stubborn with it and saying, you know what, I'm just going to keep running, which I have done. And second, trying things out differently and just at least checking to see maybe it'll be different, maybe it won't. And in my situation, being stubborn didn't work out. It did not work out for me. I was stubborn for another 2 weeks and it just didn't work out. And so sure enough, I started doing more elliptical and started doing more kind of not muscle training, but just doing some more, weights in that sense. And I saw a difference there compared to just continuing running and not losing any weight. So, whatever situation you're in, if you are looking for a job, and this is something that's also frustrating because, oh my gosh, let me share like more of a personal story here. Me personally, right now in my time of life, I'm looking for a job. I mean, I'm wanting a change. I'm wanting something different. And I love, of course, obviously Disney, and I love helping people, and I love being able to interact. So jobs that attract me immediately, just based on my past and what I do now, is customer service. I love. It sounds crazy, right? But if you're somebody who loves customer service, you totally get me. One of the highlights for me when I worked, I would work at a bank and stuff like that. One of the highlights was when I'd get an angry customer. Now I know that sounds weird because you think nobody wants to have an angry customer. But my highlight was being able to deal with the angry customer and having them leave a happy one. Like, it just made me feel so amazing to be able to change someone's day that way. So I love customer service, and I love being able to deal with people. So I started applying for places, right, in fields that I enjoy. So technology, cell phone, stuff like that. I have experience in things like that. So, and I love dealing with customers and everything like that. So I started applying. And then, I'm putting my resume, and we get in this terrible part. And if you are an owner of a business and you are in charge of doing applications, I beg you to please either change up the test, or even if the test isn't 100%, give a guy a break, give him a chance. You get to this terrible test time, this assessment test, which is, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, this is just me venting a little. You take this assessment test, and all the questions always have all the right answers, or the most obvious wrong question or wrong answer. So the question, which if you've applied for a job, you totally get what I'm saying. So the question is, angry customer comes at you and is upset. What do you do? A, let them explain the situation and help them resolve it, or B, tell them that you could care less and walk away. Well, obviously the answer is not B, right? You put A. So you start doing these kind of things, and then at the end, you get an email that says either, congratulations, you were a fit. Now we're going to do an interview, which now can still hinder you from getting a job, because now you're going to basically talk with somebody, and they might not like you. They may not feel you're a right fit for the job. Or B, they say, unfortunately, we don't think you're a good fit for the company. And you're like, what? That's insane. So I worked for a company over a holiday season, went through the assessments, everything, got hired on. Great. Okay, cool. I went back the second season for the holidays, and I couldn't get hired because I failed the assessment, and the assessment test was kicking my application out. I spoke to the manager personally. I'm like, dude, you know me. I've worked here for almost 6 months in the year before. I loved it. I was great with customers. You liked me as an employee. What's the deal? So he had to go look through the applications that were kicked out to try to find mine, because he knew that I was a good employee. But because somewhere along the way, apparently I answered something that was either making it seem like I was lying to enjoy being a customer service person or what, it kicked it out. That's frustrating. Like, if you're looking for a job right now, I totally understand the frustration you feel. It is frustrating. But it's time that you have to think of ways to maybe change it up. This assessment test is hurting. It is not doing good. All right, let's figure out a way to kind of either go around that loophole or start answering differently. Start paying attention to these questions and not just, answering what you think is. And so I understand that is frustrating, but at the same time, it doesn't mean you should quit trying to find a job, because eventually you will get one. Eventually something will stick and you will be happy for it. But that's what I mean when I say there's circumstances that come up where the frustration feels like it's the end all, because it's not happening anymore. You're not getting what you want. You're not seeing the results that you were expecting or what you were getting before. And it just feels like there's no point. There is no point in what you're doing. And when those moments come, you have to remember that it's just that. It is a moment. And it is very hard to remember that. It really is, because that moment feels gigantic. It feels, crushing. It does not feel like a small moment that will pass. But it, just like everything else, whether good or bad in the past that's happened to you, it is a moment that will pass. And it's important that you do not let that frustration create an idea of failure in your mind. Do not let frustration put a seed of failure in who you are and what you're thinking, because what will happen is, just like anything else with the seed, it will grow. And all of a sudden, the first little inch, just the first little thing of frustration sets in, you will immediately consider a failure and walk away, because your mind and your attitude has changed towards frustration to consider that to be an actual failure and quitting on it. Listen, I've applied for Disney 4 times already, and it is very frustrating because I've not gotten hired yet. And I'm not quitting. I'm going to keep trying and try different ways, but I could quit, right? Technically, why keep trying? There's no point. I've already not been hired 4 times. But honestly, that's not the way to look at things. If you want to do it, if you're trying to reach a goal, and that's just a little small goal of mine, but if you're trying to reach a goal, whatever it is, whether big or small, if you keep quitting on, trying to achieve that goal, you're never going to reach it. So when that frustration sets in, back up, look around, try to find different areas. In my case, hopefully nobody from that Disney store is listening right now to this episode. I plan to go to the store more and become more friendly with the managers and talk with them more and be more friendly with the employees and kind of get a feel for it. And hopefully, in a nonchalant way, say, oh, yeah, I applied. Yeah. Oh, yeah, my name's this. And yeah, look it up. And maybe that'll make the difference. You know what I mean? So there's things you could do, of course, in all things. So like I said, you want to look for those opportunities to make an adjustment of what it is, you're going through to maybe hopefully break that frustration, break that, trend that's happening and move forward to whatever it is that you're trying to get to. Now, of course, just like every episode, we do the quotes. And so today, the quotes for the day, this one is still from the same book, Quotable Walt Disney. You may not realize when it happens, but a kick in the teeth may be the best thing in the world for you. Now, this is interesting because this one, I think, for me personally, when I read this, I think it's a little harsh. First off, just the visual of what he's giving, a kick in the teeth may be the best thing for you. It's a little rough to accept. But when you think about what he's saying, you're not thinking about the failure. That's not what he's referring to per se. Or at least that's not what I think he's referring to. But I take that more as that's the frustration. That frustration is a kick in the teeth. Failure is different. That's you quitting. That's you walking away. That's an end game. That's actually is not frustrating. And that actually technically can kind of put your mind at ease in that aspect because now you're not dealing with that situation. You quit on it. But frustration is a kick in the teeth because, like I said, you've done everything correct and you've seen either results up till now or, you should be seeing the results based on everyone's expertise, opinion. And you just keep getting stuck in this one spot. That is a kick in the teeth because it's like, I've worked so hard. I've done everything right. Why isn't this happening? And when it happens is key. What he says, when you may not realize when it happens, but it could be the best thing in the world for you. Sometimes being frustrated will actually open up your idea more. It'll open up your visual to understand, oh, this is the problem. Let me do this. And because of that, you see a huge result compared to what you could have had. And you see that accomplished dream come even sooner than what it could have been because now you've realized this is what I should do. And that's why he's saying in that sense, at the time, of course, at the time, it's never fun. It never feels good. But at the time, you may not see that in the end, that's actually the best thing for you. Going back to kind of the sailing metaphor here, you're trying to get your, ship to where it needs to go, and the wind is pushing against you, and you're so frustrated, and it's just like, what is going on? And then you realize, oh, snap. There's this thing called a motor that I remember they mentioned we put a motor in this boat. Let me try that, see what happens. All of a sudden that motor is just totally jet shooting you all the way in way quicker time than the wind and sail could have ever done for you. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. You're looking for a different kind of angle at those times that feel like it's kind of a end moment because of that frustration kicking in. And the proverb is, you have many kinds of trouble. This gives you a reason to be very happy. You know that when your faith is tested, you learn to be patient. That's from James 1, 2, and 3. And that's a favorite of mine as well. Because again, it doesn't feel good when you're reading something like that. If I'm facing trouble, why on earth would it give me a reason to be happy? And in this case, trouble can be a lot of things. And there are certain situations, of course, when the trouble it is not a happy thing. But in this case, what we're talking about with what we're referring to, the trouble could be that frustration. The trouble could be whatever it is that you're trying to reach through. It's that frustrating moment. And even though at the time it does not feel good, it gives you a reason to be happy because you're going to learn something from it. You're going to learn how to resolve a situation. that you may have never encountered before. And in that sense, that's the beauty of it, because in all the trials that you may face, you can usually always take something from it. And it's hard to think of it that way, because nobody wants to go through tough things. Nobody wants to go through frustrating moments. Nobody wants to go through, setbacks. But the beauty of it is, even in those trying times, even in those situations when, things aren't looking at the best, you can find something of positive to take from it. You can find something that will benefit and help you in your future endeavors of whatever it may be. And the beauty of that is, not to say you're welcoming the trouble, but you understand the reasoning of behind it, and you understand and the beauty of it is you understanding why you're able to get now something from facing that trouble or that frustration. So I hope this show really encourages you and helps you start your Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, whatever day you're listening to this, and week off right. Remember, guys, you can find all this information in the show notes, and if you are wanting to join the group, it'll be there in here, but basically you just can go to Facebook and search "Talk About the Magic," and I think my page will come up, but also the group will come up. And I actually put a pin. That's a smart thing, Joseph. I'm talking to myself now. I'll put a pin on my profile page of the group there, so that way you can join if you're interested. But if not, it's totally fine. You can also find me on Instagram at Talk About the Magic and shoot me a direct message. Let me know, if you want to talk about something, if you're going through something that's frustrating you or whatever. Sometimes the best thing to do is to talk about it, to get different eyes and different opinions about it. So be sure to do that as well. Reach out. I have no problem talking with you. I'd love to be able to talk with you. But I hope you have a wonderful night, day, weekend whenever you are listening to this. And as always, stay magical.
This was the Talk About the Magic podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay magical.